Good morning, students. Again, we are back with our history and political class, and today we are going to learn about political science. And the first lesson in political science, which you are going to learn today, is post World War political development. First question I want to ask you is war good? Has war been a beneficial part for the countries? On the onset, I would say that war is never good. It brings about destruction, loss of property, and loss of humanity. Okay, but in order to protect each our boundaries, we are fighting, and that is why we have a lot of and we spend a lot of money on defense system. Instead of that, we need to try to restore peace. And today, the world needs peace. Let us see what happened in the post-World War political development. In the civics textbook till now, we have studied local self government, institutions, India's constitution, and our political system or governmental structure. In this class, we are going to study India's relations with the world. You must have understood world geography through study of geography. You must have become familiar with the global historical events through the study of history. Now, through the study of political science, we are going to study India's relations with the world and some major global issues. We are dependent on different persons, institutions, and organizations in the society for different reasons and for different facilities. Our social life is interdependent and mutual cooperation has a very important place in it, just as it is true about individuals and society. It applies to different nations as well. There are many independent nations in the world like India. Some exchange and interaction goes on between them constantly. These independent states also enter into treaties with each other. A system of all these independent sovereign states comes up. We call it international system. Let us get to know some features of this international system. First is interdependence. All the countries of the world are dependent on each other for one reason or the other. However big, prosperous, or developed a nation may be, it can never be self sufficient about all its needs. Even big nations have to depend upon other big and small nations. Thus, interdependence is an important feature of the international system, that is, today's global system. International relations through foreign policy. Every nation has policies about its internal dealings as also about its relations with other nations. Such a policy is called foreign policy. Again, I repeat, every nation has policies about its internal dealings as also about its relation with other nations. Such a policy is called foreign policy. We are going to study India's foreign policy in detail in the next chapter. Okay, then next is background. The world in which we live today has been shaped through many events and developments. Hence, we need to go back to history in order to understand today's world. We know that two world wars were fought in the last century. These were the most important events in the world in that century. The world completely changed because of them. New currents of thought emerged. Let us understand what else happened due to these world wars. First World War. The World War was fought between 1914 and 1918. Major countries of Europe took part in it. Europe had a very central place in the international or global system at that time. The war caused a tremendous loss of life and property. The countries which joined the war suffered tremendous economic losses. Even the countries which did not join the war were impacted by the war. The economies of the victorious as well as the losing countries collapsed. Countries involved in the First World War. Allied powers Britain, France, Russia, Italy, and America. They were together. Central powers Germany, Austria, Hungary, Ottoman Empire and Bulgaria. They were another power. At the end of the First World War, all the nations felt that such a war should not happen again, and some measures need to be taken to achieve that end. An international organization called the League of Nations was established out of this thinking. It became an important platform to solve international disputes and carry out negotiations. The main responsibility of the League of Nations was understood to be to avoid war. After the First World War, major changes came about in Europe and outside Europe. For example, earlier empires in Europe collapsed and new nations came into being. Many European countries had their colonies in the continents of Africa and Asia. Movements for independence started in these colonies. These movements challenged the hegemony of the European nations. League of Nations was established after the First World War to establish peace, but it did not succeed at preventing war. Autocratic regimes came up in Germany, Italy, Spain, and other countries. All these developments culminated in the Second World War. Okay, they could not. So, Second World War. Second World War. The Second World War was fought between 1939. First was 1914 to end 1918. Second is 1939 and 1945. It proved to be far more destructive than the First World War. Not only was it more widespread compared to the first. Okay, this is the major countries. The First World War, but also more advanced technology was employed in this war. Countries which took part in the Second World War once again faced a situation of economic crisis. The countries involved in the Second World War, Allied powers, were the Allied powers Britain, France, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, India, Soviet Union, China, America. Axis powers were Germany, Japan, and Italy. Germany, Japan, and Italy. America played a major role in the Second World War. It had manufactured nuclear weapons. In order to end the war, it dropped two nuclear weapons on two cities of Japan, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, on 6th and 9th August 1945, respectively. When it was 6th and 9th August 1945, respectively. The Second World War ended with the defeat of Germany in Europe and of Japan in Asia. Among the many events that took place in the world after the Second World War was the beginning of the Cold War 1945 to 1991 is a long period of the Cold War. Let us take stock of a few changes in this period. Regarding Cold War, we shall learn about it in the second part of the lesson. Okay, that is the next session. Thank you.